And now we're going to present to you Bodies for Profit in an Age of Hyper-Incarceration. Thank you guys so much for coming.
From 2002 to 2008, only 1 to 3% of Americans thought that drugs and crime were an important issue in the nation.
Today, in the United States, more African Americans are under the control of the justice system, imprisoned and on parole, than enslaved in 1850.
The United States constitutes 20% or 5% of the world population, but houses 25% of the world prison population.
It is clear black bodies are considered dispensable in the free world,
but as a major source of profit in the prison world.
In 1995, Dow sold $100,000 worth of its product to New York City jail systems alone.
The links between the military, the government, and corporations are growing stronger, not weaker. Prisons for profit.
Prisons for profit.
Prisons for profit.
Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit.
Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit. Prisons for profit.
The stigma of race was once the shame of the slave.
Then the shame of the second-class citizen.
Today, the stigma of race is the shame of the criminal.
With liberty and justice for all.
I pledge allegiance.
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 I pledge
I pledge
allegiance.
I
allegiance.
pledge allegiance.
I pledge
I pledge allegiance.
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 One may perceive in the penitentiary many reflections to that of chattel slavery as it existed in the South. Both institutions subordinated their subjects to the will of others. Like Southern slaves, prison inmates follow a daily routine specified by their superiors.
Both institutions reduce their subjects to dependence on others for the supply of basic human services, such as food and shelter. Both institutions isolated their subjects from the general population by confining them to a fixed habitat. And both frequently coerce their subjects to work, often for longer hours and less compensation than free laborers.
Are prisons racist?
Crime to color.
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 Crime to color. Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Slavery.
Lynching.
And segregation
Like the prison,
became as everlasting as the sun. The Mississippi Black Codes declared vagrant anyone who had run away, was drunk,
was wanton in conduct or speech, handled money carelessly, neglected job or family, and all other idle persons. Thus, vagrancy was coded as a black crime.
After emancipation, the courtroom became the ideal place to exact racial retribution, imputing crime to color.
Today, the people in prison generally lose the right to vote, but their bodies still count for purposes of political apportionment.
A city councilman was elected into office with only 2 votes, his wife and neighbor, everyone else in the district in a nearby prison.
Blacks to your left,
White to your right.
Blacks to your left,
White to your right.
blacks to your left.
White to your right.
Card, white to your right. Card, Brazilian to your left. Card, Peruvian to your left. Card, Mexican to your left. Card, Costa Rican to your left. Card, white to your right. Card, black to your left. Card, access denied.
It is difficult to identify the involvement of Latinos in the criminal justice system due to frequent state-level data shortcomings. Often, the category of ethnicity is combined with race.
76% of African Americans that qualify for jury service are excluded. These extremely high rates of exclusion indicate that even today, African Americans are denied the right to sit in juries because of the race.
In Chattahoochee, Georgia, there were 6 cases where black defendants were tried by all white juries. This is problematic considering these juries were chosen for their adversity to blackness.
Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Crime to color. Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Crime to color.
Maintaining 2,000 prison and jails costs approximately $74 billion. But once you add the remainder of the system, the lawyers, the judges, and the police officers, it's an additional $154 billion. What do we value?
Prisons for profit.
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 Order up.
$50.
51. 52.
53.
He said it like it is. People charged with crimes, whether guilty or not, whether small or not, are treated like hamburgers in a fast food restaurant. Order up.
Prisons for profit. 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 Prisons for profit.
Prisons for profit.
Prisons for profit. You have 5 minutes.
Daddy! Hello, princess. How are you?
I'm good. I got the letter you got me for my birthday.
Oh, that's great. Did you like it?
Yes. And I got other things too. Everything I ever wanted. Well, almost.
Well, maybe for your next birthday, you'll get everything you want.
Yeah. Maybe.
So tell me, how's your mom?
She's good. She just got a promotion at her job.
Oh, really? Tell her I say congratulations.
I will.
Hey, princess, Is something wrong?
It's just, I miss you.
You still have that locket I gave you?
Yes?
And did you forget why I gave it to you?
No. To remind me that if I were to ever hit a low place, I could overcome it.
Exactly. That's why you're my princess.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart.
Time's up.
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 Time's up. Time's up.
Time's up.
Time's up.
Time's up.
Time's up.
I am a 28-year-old transgender woman that has been incarcerated in a men's state prison in Texas. So here in Texas, there's this thing called safekeeping, which is basically a setup for inmates that are considered vulnerable because they're gay, weak, scared, or some other reason. I have repeatedly asked to be transferred, but my attempts have been ignored. It is clear to these officers that I'm having major safety issues in my current unit. They refuse to classify me into safekeeping. I've been extorted. I've had to do sexual favors for gang members. I've had to ride with gang members for protection from another. I am so tired of being scared all the time and doing things against my will. I don't want to be anybody's goddamn property. Because officers aren't doing anything to protect me, I get into trouble on purpose just to be sent to solitary confinement. Do you know what it's like to depend on solitary for physical and mental survival? What if I can't refuse?
You can't refuse.
You can't refuse.
You can't refuse.
You can't refuse.
Some of them put one finger in your vagina and another in your rectum at the same time. I thought about refusing, but I sure as hell didn't want to get sent back to solitary. The internal search was as disgusting and as humiliating as it sounded.
Without the uniform, without the power of the state, it will be sexual assault.
What if I refuse? The state deplores the idea of its officers using sexual assault.
But they actually use sexual assault as a means of control.
What if I refuse?
I am because we are.
I am because we are.
I am because we are.
I am because we are. We find ourselves trapped, looking at each other through bars, fixed by our unconscious acceptance of race.
I am because we are. I am because we are. I am because we are. In police reports, police officers describe black women primarily as big, black, and angry.
Ah!
There's a saying that from a moment a little girl was born, her first love will be her father. When I was born, the exact moment, I had my dad wrapped around my little finger. He always protected me, and he's given me everything. When I was little, I would watch him leave our house in his police uniform. And I would think, that's right, go fight those bad guys. Daddy, I love you. What does uniform mean? To serve and protect.
Get out of my house! Get out of my...
Daddy, I love you. What happens to black women who experience male violence?
Specialized institutional services are inaccessible.
And their experiences of male violence are erased. Daddy, I love you. I really think that woman needs help.
Marissa Alexander of Florida was a black woman who fired a warning shot into the air to stop her estranged husband from attacking her.
Daddy, I love you. I really think that woman needs help.
There was
There's insufficient
insufficient
evidence to support deadly force.
And these were the same prosecutors who failed to convict George Zimmerman.
What does uniform mean? Who does it truly protect?
Marissa Alexander was sentenced to
20 years to life. 20 years to life.
20 years to life. 20 years to life. 20 years to life. 20 years to life. So my shrink asked me one day, why don't you ever talk about your father? And I said, you want the story? Okay, fine. I'll give it to you.
I don't know what he wanted me to do. It was him or her. I chose the parent who took care of me. I chose the parent that loved me. I chose my mom. But I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know what it meant to call the police. What does it mean to call the police?
When locked up, these felons are stigmatized.
They are regarded as fit subjects for shaming.
Their family ties disrupted.
Their opportunities for work diminished.
Their voting rights are permanently revoked, and they suffer civic excommunication.
Our grandfather called from Nigeria. He said, how could you? How could you send my son to prison? Don't you know he's an African man? Don't you know he's a Muslim man? They'll label him a terrorist. What did you do to him? What did I do to him? What did he do to me?
It might be argued that removing criminally active parents from the homes of remaining children improves their environment. This clearly is not true.
Even when mothers retain the relationship with the incarcerated father,
incarceration diminishes the capacity for effective parent-child relationships.
I pledge allegiance.
Stop police crimes!
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 Hi, is this Ariel?
May I speak to
Yes.
Artemis Fioretti?
This is Chloe from the Chicago
I'm
Alliance
calling
Against
from
Racism.
Chicago Alliance Against Racism and Political
Yes,
Violence.
I'm
This
calling
call
because
is
I
to
saw
find
you
out
sign
whether
a
you
petition to
receive
CPAC.
legislation for CPAC
Yes.
to get sent
Great,
to
and I
the
also saw
President's
that you checked
office.
that you'd help us volunteer as well.
No, I'm pretty certain we sent
Great.
it to his ward
Okay,
office.
are you free on Saturdays?
Yes, that's the address that
Great.
we have on file.
Yes, okay, we're going to meet at noon at Hood Hope.
Okay, I guess
Yes,
I could
60
call
versus
someone
8 March.
to see if
Great.
they receive
And from there, we're going to move to
the
MLK
mail
and
there.
65.
Could you give me that number,
Great,
please?
see you there, thanks.
Thank you.
It takes me 2 hours to respond to 20 letters sent by current inmates to the Alliance. Most of them are asking for help. And there's still 200 more waiting to be responded to. Consider the sheer scale of hyper-incarceration. This is a letter from Jim. The Alliance had to stop replying to him. After they lost his case, he lost his mind. His letters became incomprehensible. Longer sentences and restricted and reduced parole are two contributing factors to the rapidly increasing prison population. All these letters escaped from behind prison bars, only to fall to the bottom of a filing cabinet. We can't do it alone. We need more help.
Hi, would you like to sign a petition to stop police crimes?
Sure.
Thanks so much.
Do you know where you are? This is the corner of murder.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Hi, would you like to sign our petition to stop police crimes?
Oh, definitely. This is an issue that really needs to get addressed. Thanks a lot for the work.
Thanks so
You.
much. Hi, would you like to sign a petition
Oh,
to stop
you
police
don't
crimes?
need to tell me about that. I'll sign your petition or whatever. It won't change anything though.
Thanks for the support.
Hi, would you like to sign our petition to stop police crimes? No, I actually think African American men should be beat.
Black space,
White
space,
Black space, white space, black space, white space, black space, white space, black space, white space, black space, white space,
Black space, white space, black space,
white space,
black space,
white space,
black space.
white space.
I solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Racially biased mass incarceration in the United States has defined the meaning of blackness in America. If I told you the whole truth and nothing but the truth, would you believe me? The cultural definition stands. Black people, especially black men, are criminals. This is what it means to be black in America. We are told to believe that black people choose to be criminals, that all black people are dangerous thugs who choose to sell drugs. Black people are no more likely to sell drugs than whites, and yet 81% of crack cocaine offenses in 2002 that resulted in imprisonment were African American. The term white criminal is confounding. The term black criminal is redundant. We think black man, we think jumpsuit. We think white man, we think Armani suit. White mitigates crime. Black defines crime. Blacks are incarcerated at 6 times the rates of whites. Blacks represent 12% of the nation's drug users, yet represent 59% of the prison population incarcerated under drug offenses. The war on drugs, it seems, has become a war on color. But wait, it's not racist to be against crime, is it? It just so happens that the archetype of the criminal in the mass media and in the public imagination happens to be black. I mean, stereotypes exist for a reason, right? Young plus black plus male equals suspicion. That's a justified arrest, search, and stripping of the rights. Hello, Jim Crow. It's good to see you again. We cannot hope to untie the knot of class, race, and imprisonment, and thus define hyper-incarceration in our nation until we address the residential and the economic segregation that is apparent in our nation. Blacks, whites, Latinos, and others will continue to experience cultural separation in the way they view the world until we can learn to blur our concept of color. Until we acknowledge the color lines that are apparent in the rules that govern our nation, we will continue to deny equal justice. Black space.
White space.
Black space.
White space. Black space. White space. Black space.
White space. Black space. White space.
Just like these gloves, we are disposable.
You may be able to wear a nice dress to upgrade your social status, but the difference between me and you is, when I wear mine, I still can't escape my color. There are more African Americans in jails or in prisons on probation or parole than enslaved in 1850. The mass incarceration of people is the reason why in today's society a black child is less likely to grow up with both their parents. Black men are disappearing into the prison systems due to drug crimes, largely ignored when committed by whites. We have been more than cooperative, yet the system continues to criminalize us. Black and brown neighborhoods are being targeted and hyper-surveillance. The mass incarceration of people defines the meaning of blackness in America. Black people, especially black men, are criminals. We have been branded criminals. The system is better designed to create crime and perpetuate the label of criminals than to increase crime and the number of criminals. Yet the question I pose to you is, do you care enough to change it? If we are to return to the rate of enslavement, of incarceration in 1970s, we would have to release 4 out of 5 people behind bars today. This means prisons will close across America. This means prison will close across America. This event will cause panic in rural communities who depend on prisons for jobs and economic growth. Stop! When will we stop? We must admit out loud that it was because of race we didn't care about those people and imagine the worst possible things about them. We must lay down our racial bribes. Stand hand in hand with people of all colors who are not content with waiting for change to trickle down. We must be able to say to those who stand in our way, you will accept all of us or none of us. Because when you strip away everything, one truth remains. We are all disposable.
Early this morning, Wednesday, March 18, 2015, Martise Johnson. Eric Garner, July 17, 2014, New York City.
Trayvon Martin, February 26, 2012.
Michael Brown, August 9, 2014.
Tamir Rice, November 22nd, 2014.
Marissa Alexander, May 12, 2012.
May Molina, May 24th, 2004.
Rakia Boyd, March 21st, 2012.
Flint Farmer, June 7, 2011.
Foster Grant, January 1st, 2009.
Laquan McDonald, October 20th, 2014.
Craven Varghese, February 19th, 2014.
Ayanna Stanley Jones, May 16th, 2010.
Eleanor Bumpers, October 29th, 1984.
Melissa Williams, November 29th, 2012. Anasamia Ade, October 22nd, 2013.
3 unarmed Mexican immigrants: Antonio Zambrano Montes, Rubén García Villalpando, Javier Canepa Díaz.
And the 43 students still missing in Ayotzinapa, Mexico.
Jorge Anibal Cruz.
Jose
Over the past 9 years, Border Patrol agents have killed a total of 76 Mexicans.
In Chicago, from 2012 to 2014, police officers shot 151 people. Of those, 119 were black. 38 were fatal. In 2014 alone, Chicago police officers shot more people than in Canada, the UK, and Germany combined.
No!